I don't go live very often. For some reason, Facebook always gives me problems when I attempt to go live. But let's continue our conversation. Now that I'm live in the group, you can go ahead and drop your agency information in the comment section if you're hanging out with us today. But to continue what I was talking about, and as I mentioned, the whole video will go up live on our YouTube channel. But the next part of the conversation around marketing strategy that I was going to mention was around talking about your services. Like, what do you do? Why should I work with you? Why should I not work with you? So you really want to think about what's important as far as your agency is concerned so that you're able to really share that information. And it's stuff that you should know off the top of your head. I'm so serious when I say if business is coming your way, it's going to come in a way that you have to be ready. So you have to have practiced it 100 times about what it is, what you do, why you will be a great pick, why they should work for you. You want it to be something that you know, like you know your phone number. And it needs to also be in a way that is communicated easily, where it's not, hey, I'm doing a sales pitch. It's really, hey, I'm having a conversation and I'm sharing with you about this amazing agency that I've created that you should be working with. So that's the next one. And when you think about that, you really want to not only think about, hey, well, I provide staffing services. You guys do so much more than that. You provide staffing services, you provide quality staff. You know, if you're joint commission, that's important. And if you are joint commission, and this is a little bit of a sideway, if you are joint commission, one, put it on your website, include it in your conversation with your clients. And if you have clients that don't know what joint commission is, take out the time to educate them. There should be somewhere on your website, you know, an FAQ, resources, something like that, because there are facilities that don't know why an agency would get joint commission certified. And that's an amazing selling point to say, hey, we're joint commission certified. Click here if you're not sure what joint commission means or you need more clarification on joint commission. And you can also say, hey, contact us. But if you're joint commission or have any of the other certifications, definitely feel free to share that information on your website, 100, share it on your LinkedIn, and make sure people are aware, because it's like the point of you going through the process is that you can share and kind of differentiate yourself from the other agencies that are not. Let's see. Next, developing a strong online presence, website and social media. If you haven't been here for a while, or if you're new to our community and we've just met, you know that I talk about having an online presence all of the time. Is this for the facility or for the employer, or both? It's a little bit of both. So the conversation is definitely for both, because a lot of times that the information around marketing strategy overlaps. So initially, this is just kind of client focused, but you can use some of the same tactics when you're thinking about looking for candidates as well. Thanks for the question. Next, develop an online presence through website and social media. So we've already talked about that. I've mentioned that so many times. When you think about, hey, well, Shamika, what do I need to get started? You need a website. You need an online presence. Social media is a big piece of the conversation for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of nurse and healthcare professionals. If you are not there actively, you are missing a whole audience that you can scoop up. And when I talk about applicants, I would say the same for potential clients. If you are looking for businesses to work with, you may meet them initially on social media or in person, but nonetheless, you're going to check out their website or their social media at some point, or should, before sealing the deal on doing business with them. So if they go to your website or they go to their social media and there's no content there, there's no kind of more information about the story or your story as a business owner, it kind of leaves a different feeling than if they can, hey, I'm working with the NOSA group. I can go to a website, her social media. I can go to all the social media platforms and find her as she's having these different conversations. That gives a different type of feel than if I go to the website and maybe it's not working or it hasn't been updated, as far as how seriously you take your business. And then the last thing, and I think we have a couple of NOSAs. Shout out to all the NOSAs that are still or were in Vegas. I think that conference is over. Attend industry conferences and events to network and build relationships. So over the past 3 years, right around 2021, but before that, as a working nurse, I attended healthcare related conferences. And one of those conferences that I was consistent with was the travel nurse conference that happens in Vegas. I think it's always in Vegas in September. And that was a conference that I've attended. I've attended some local conferences like my local nurses association conference or events as well. So one thing to take into consideration is it's so much easier to catch a fish in a big pond than a little pond. So that's why I mentioned Travelers Conference. We've had quite a few NOSAs have booths at that conference. We've also had meetups at that conference for NOSAs the last couple of years. But the amount of people, over 1,500 healthcare professionals show up to this weekend on a regular basis is astounding. And it creates a pool of applicants. You know, when you get a booth, you get access, you get information. A lot of agencies host events and activities. So it doesn't have to be this particular conference because this one's more travel focused, but any of the conferences, you can SIA, Staffing Industry Analyst Conference, the American Staffing Association Conference, your local Chamber of Commerce, if they have conferences, A&I's, or I'm sorry, B&I, Small Business Development Centers, How Commerce Small Business Week. So there's a lot of conferences and places that you can attend for different reasons. But don't not only focus on the employee side of attending conferences and, you know, kind of capturing employees. You want to go where potential employers are too. And that might be your long-term care associations, American Medical Association types of conferences. Those are also great places. Some of the conferences that staffing industry analysts have might be a good fit as well, as it creates more of a mix of potential clients and agencies as well. So really look out there, and a great place to look would be on your social media, and you should look on, let me know who you guys think you should, where you think you should look on your social media. Okay, I'm going to give it up. Your LinkedIn. And if you don't follow us on LinkedIn, please, please, please. I'm going to drop it here. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at THENOSA GRP. GRP. Okay. Or Facebook events. That's right, Asia. Facebook events are really great tools to engage with audience, get awareness, because once you do a Facebook event, whether it's a job fair information session, you can share that content out to potential employees and employers, because that kind of gives them a snapshot of the audience that you're working with, which is good to know. And that is the key way to establish and build relationships. I know a lot of NOSAs work together. I know I've worked with quite a few NOSAs, but you want to build these relationships in real time, and you have to give it you have to be out there doing it, but you also have to be consistent with it. So really think about, hey, what are the things that I can do in the space that I am in effectively, efficiently, and consistently to connect with my audience. Some people host Zooms, some people do in-persons, some people do workshops or virtual job fairs on other platforms. There are things that you can do. It's just that you have to commit the time. And once you do them, feel free to share them. You know, that's really how people get access to our community. It's shared, it's talked about. Those who have attended events, it's seen. So you also have to do those things as well, even if you're in the just getting started phases. And those are things that you want to incorporate in your marketing strategy. How am I going to do it? Who am I going to send this information to? When is it going to be happening on a regular basis? And then how am I going to stay consistent doing it? A lot of us do email campaigning. That's a great way. But you really want to think about what's going to connect most with your audience. I found these videos like I'm doing today on Talk About It Tuesday really connects with my audience. It gives them a chance to look, see, and check it out later. Comment, reply, engage if they can't participate in real time. So that's really something that you want to think about when you're doing those things, like what time of day is your audience active if you're doing videos like me. Now, how easily accessible are the videos? You know, do you have reminders in place? So you want to think about a lot of different ways to connect with your audience. So the next strategy, number 4, is about our approach to staffing. So that would be the second part, and I'm talking in, it'll be 8 parts. So that'll be the second part when you're thinking about putting together your marketing strategy. Your approach. So I touched a little bit on that, but you want to talk about how your healthcare staffing agency process is. And this is something that you can do, especially for you guys that maybe do a lot of that per diem staffing, is to automate a lot of that. If you haven't gotten on Canva, guys, Canva has changed tremendously. Check it out. They've made a lot of advancements. But really consider, hey, what's the process? So if I'm an employee of your organization, at the point that you post a job, I apply. What are those steps? What do those steps look like? How long should they take? You want to set realistic expectations on the employee side or applicant side. And then you want to do the same thing for your clients. Hey, when we onboard our employees, this is what that process looks like. And it will be a great idea to have that process visualized through either a presentation, or if you have an employee that you can use that'll go through that process. That's really great. The staffing piece, the scheduling piece, kind of talking with an employer, an actual person, about how that process looks. So if I receive a request from your facility to fill these specific needs, these are the steps that we as business owners take to fill those needs. We send an email, we send a text message, it goes out to this community, just so that people can really understand how your business operates and can also get more information as far as the decision process with regards to, hey, that's what we need, the accessibility. And we're going to talk about this more in number 5 when we talk about the team, the accessibility to you guys. So, and some of this will cross over from your business plan. It'll cross over from any sort of marketing and recruitment strategies that you may have, but it's really key to kind of peel down to the nuts and bolts of how your business is operating so that you're able to share that in the conversation that you have with clients and potential employees. The team. So you want to talk about the team. If your team is full of amazing nurses that are working in different roles, if some parts of your team are outsourced or some parts of your team are in-house, you really want to identify who those individuals are, as well as what skill sets do they need. And I'm going to segue just a bit, because we only have a couple more to go over, and talk about a question that I got from Anosa recently. Shout out to Nicole, around picking a partner for your business. And it can be used whether you're picking a partner or adding team members to your business. And in this conversation, I'm really only talking about that business operations team, like your compliance coordinator, recruiters, schedulers, things like that, in addition to business partners. You always want to add people to your team that complement the business, believe and trust and support the mission, but also people that have added value. An example would be that if I'm a good in-person person, I talk well, I meet friends fast, I can move through different situations comfortably as far as, ability to deal with change. I don't then want to add a business partner that is that way as well. I would think about adding a business partner or even a role, a partner in a role or other roles who are more organized, more strategic, can think further out into the future, can, establish policies and procedures, somebody who's strong on meeting deadlines, creating budget, kind of creating the organization around the organization. That would be the type of person that I would want to talk to or work with when it comes to creating a team and creating harmony within that team. Because sometimes, and I've seen this and I've talked to a ton of nurses about it, when you hire yourself, for instance, if I hired another Shamika, that wouldn't work. But one of the ways to understand who you need to hire is to be honest with yourself about where you have areas of need or lack. So when you talk about your team, you want to make sure that they're tailored to the needs as well of your audience, of your clients, potential employees, and that they can communicate that message with the same enthusiasm that you will. You want to really focus on leveraging social media to build a brand. So like if I wasn't the face of the NOSA group and there was a business partner, I would anticipate that person to be the face of the NOSA group. And then of course you want to utilize great marketing tools like email campaigning and reaching out to clients, and it'd be something that either you do or your potential partner can do. That's a good one. Yes, Asia. I do not need another me. It sounds good in theory to duplicate myself, but I do not want to duplicate me. I've got it. I've got this part of the process handled. I need someone on the back end to pull this ship forward into 2024. And then number 6 is success stories. So healthcare staffing businesses have helped, you've worked with hospitals, clinics, healthcare systems, long-term care facilities, all types of industries. Have your clients share their success. Google is the best place to do it, but if it doesn't happen on Google, definitely put it on your website or somewhere where people can see it connected to your business. LinkedIn is good as well. But you want to make sure that, hey, if that person has a good connection with your business, that they're sharing it. And typically when they do, they'll share it with partners. Some people have worked with one facility and then they end up working with sister facilities or facilities that companies had out of state. That's a good business practice, but you want to document it. You don't want it to happen and then you can tell me about it, but there's no outside, objective proof that that's what happened. And you can do it on both ends. You should do it with your clients and with your employees. You want to check in on both of those individuals and find out, hey, what's going on, what you're doing right, what you like, what you don't like, what we can fix. You want to always be having that conversation with both parties because they both impact each other. You want to send happy facilities, happy employees, and vice versa. You want your employees to be happy to work at that facility. The last thing you want as a NOSA is to have a facility be like, oh, please don't ever send her back. That's a horrible thing to happen. Now it happens, and it doesn't always happen for legitimate reasons. Sometimes it happens for other reasons, but that's still a stain on your business with that particular client. So knowing ahead of time, getting ahead of those types of situations are really key, and sharing it, posting it, putting it everywhere, definitely putting it on social media, and sometimes you have to give people a little bit of a nudge to do reviews, and myself included, but it's worth that extra push, that extra nudge, so that people can know, hey, I'm just not the one excited about my agency. There's facilities, there's employees that are excited with working with me as well. And number 7, and this is kind of one that I already talked about, but essentially when you think about creating your strategy, don't give it too much thought, just like your business plan. I would not do it before I would attempt and then maybe revisit it later and finish it, but you really want to give those thoughts because and you guys can definitely attest to this, a year goes by really fast. And you don't want to go into the next year without a plan, without tools, without kind of where you're going to go or where you anticipate yourself to be or going in what direction, and then miss out on opportunities. So having something in place is key. It's pivotal. It can change your whole trajectory of your business, especially if you're someone interested in doing other businesses or complementary businesses. Leverage your social media. Showcase your expertise. If you are a NERSA, and when I talk about NOSA, that was just the name of the business. But if you are a healthcare professional or have an expertise that will stand out for healthcare staffing businesses, highlight it. Don't have the people find out that you ran an accounting firm or worked in human resources or did anything else that's complementary to your business after the fact. Incorporate it in your mission, your vision, your values. Incorporate it in what people will experience when they work with you, so that they too know, hey, oh, this person has a whole background or whole experience in these other areas. This would be a great added value to my staffing business or working with this staffing business. Promote your solutions. This touches on it a little bit, but part of the pain points that we'll see as the industry evolves and we go into 2024 is more immediate results around addressing potential clients' pain points. And we saw that throughout the pandemic when we saw technology kick the door open and become the norm. We're seeing it a little bit as we see more and more facilities kind of taking ownership of the role of operating as agencies or providing more flexibility and options for employees to work. So it has to be something that's a key part of your business and how you're going to make yourself different as we go into the future. And I say that to say this: there are some facilities that only want you to do paper timesheets. That's fine. And this is just an example, guys. Paper timesheets, that's fine if that's what the facility requires. But from an employee standpoint of view, you want to offer your employee the most tech savvy, easiest way for them to apply to jobs, submit time cards, find out about shift cancellations. That's possible, which of course will save you time. Everybody has a phone. That's a great tool, but there are other tools that you can use. And in situations, especially the situation where you may have a client who, for whatever reason, uses paper time cards, it might be that, hey, they want to get that real-time signature, and that might be something that you speak to when you're speaking with whoever your scheduling company is, to add as an added feature. Where I've seen tech products where you can fill out the time card, supervisor can sign, they'll type in their name, and then a copy is sent via email. So it may be for, more than, just old school purposes. So you want to think, hey, how can I fix this where it's beneficial to both? I've seen NOSAs talk about it here on our group and in person around offering more technology to the facilities so that, your scheduling system and the facilities, scheduling requirements are kind of talking to each other and you're not as involved in the process. So think through some of those things that are still hurdles. As we've seen a lot of technology burst into our industry around scheduling, the credentialing process. I think even with nurses and so many states joining the compact, that'll change things quite a bit. So really think about that when you're thinking about, hey, what makes me different? Attend healthcare industry events. It doesn't have to be a big event like I mentioned earlier, like TravCon. It can be smaller events that are applicable to your state, or if a hospital is opening up or a healthcare system is opening up like we have here in my community. They're opening up a standalone emergency department. Show up, see what it's about, talk to people. So don't commit to only doing it traditionally, because you never know where opportunity lies. Okay, Asia says, I never say I'm a nurse or home care or provide home care and transportation services. No, Asia. I do both. They must clock in and clock out, have a paper timesheet in case of discrepancies. And there's ways around that. So I'll get my take on your questions, Asia, at the end. But thanks for those questions and comments. Um, and then, of course, you want to kind of wrap everything that you've shared in your strategy along the way as far as what you're doing, what works, what doesn't work. And you want to do your research. Like I just mentioned earlier about them opening up a standalone emergency department in my community, which is fairly new, or it's new to us. It may not be new to you guys. You know, showing up to their ribbon opening ceremony. Typically, the information is free to the public to get. There's usually not a lot of parameters to get access to attend. People just don't go. That would be a great, event and opportunity to attend and just see. You may, usually the people there are people from Commerce, your local Department of Commerce, your state individuals are there, and then whoever is the facility that's actually opening up the in our case emergency department. So and I would look to, as you guys are thinking about, hey, what other types of opportunities, that's in our community, that's becoming a big thing. So they're kind of meeting that need between urgent care and going to the ER in a hospital and creating the standalone emergency department. So typically they are connected to your local hospital. So if you have hospital, let's say it's hospital, Bell Hospital, Regional Hospital, they may have up the street or 5 or 7 miles away, Bell standalone emergency department, which one, they cover more time. I believe this one is 24 hours. So they cover the same time as your typical ED, but may in actuality not be like an emergency, but be more serious than urgent care, or urgent care could be closed. And a lot of times they will transport you to your emergency department if it's something more than they can handle. But they can do IVs, they can do CTs, blood work. They essentially do everything. And they also have like an on-call physician or hospitalist there as well. So they're kind of, meeting the need of the market, or filling a gap of the market, I think, for a couple of different reasons. But I also think that COVID played a big role in kind of, highlighting the gaps in healthcare. So I think that's why we see this role of a standalone emergency department. On to some questions. So, okay. Timesheets in case of discrepancies. Okay, so Asia, let's talk about this a little bit. And I'm actually going to use your question in our office hours. So definitely check it out on our YouTube page. My response from an A to Z, but I'm just going to jump into it a little bit here. When we started our business about 7 years ago, it was common practice to use paper timesheets. It was rare that you saw small, medium-sized agencies using technology. So something to think about. The reason we weren't using technology or didn't have an app at that particular time wasn't because we didn't think that we needed it. It was because financially and where the business was, it wasn't feasible. And of course, we had a client that still, was fine with us doing the timesheets. Now, there's two things to take into consideration when you talk about having a paper timesheet in case of discrepancies. In reportings, or using Excel or Access or Google Sheets and things like that, you can pull in information and verify discrepancies. Now, my question to you, if you're still on here with me, is it that you're maybe not comfortable with those types of systems, whether it's Google Sheets, Excel, to pull in that information, or that your client is asking for the paper timesheets? Okay, you're saying they do both. Because that's not the most efficient use of your time as an owner, and I'm not sure how long you've been in business as far as moving forward. So when I speak about like technology and stuff like that, I'm just not talking about technology for employees. or even clients for that matter. When I talked about the scheduling piece, I'm also talking about using technology in your business as a business owner. And we've touched on some of the technologies that we've used, and I've done a video about that. But one of the pieces in kind of the line items that I talk about, we touch on, instead of using paper timesheet, use some sort of system. And if you are using a clock in system like a tech product, and you feel like, oh, it would be great if this product had X, whatever that is. Like I used the example before about having a signature option. Go back to your company that you're paying and ask them to see if that's something available or there's an integration for that. So really work with the company that you're paying, because many times they'll be very receptive and appreciative to get feedback from their clients about, hey, for us, this is working, this isn't working. Not so much in a sense of saying you don't want to work with them, as much as, hey, it will be really great, and I'm going to use a signature example again, if I was able to have a signature option that would also email the time card to my client. All right, so, okay, of course, some clients ask for paper. I do paper for the facility and an app for me as the owner. I'm in the process of creating my own app that implements the timesheet in the app. Okay, cool. Great. Okay, perfect. And Asia, just as an FYI, I wouldn't spend money on creating your own app. There's just plenty of companies out there that have something that I'm sure will work for you. Unless it's something that you really want to do. To create your own app from A to Z is a costly process. But you can do what people refer to as white label. Their apps, where if I want to say, I think Gale Healthcare, I think Favorite might do it, but it'll be their product, right, their technology, and then when you white label it, when me or other employees go into the app, it'll have your logos, your information, so everything related to your agency. So oh, okay, it's timely on white label. Okay, perfect. Great. Thanks for all your questions, Asia. Share your share your social media information so I can follow you if I'm not following you. As well as anybody else. I think we got one other person hanging out here with us. But drop your social media information. I think we have a post that I'll probably drop into the features of all the social media accounts of our newbies. And existing members. One other question, and then I'm going to wrap up this live if you guys don't have anything else. Is anybody on TikTok? I know I've seen a handful of you guys on TikTok. Are you guys recruiting on TikTok? Because that'll be our next topic, putting together your recruitment strategy. Anybody recruiting on TikTok? And what I'll do is I'll save a screen recording of a live, because that's becoming a very popular thing. Okay, Anointed Care Service, perfect. Okay, got it. It's becoming very, very common to recruit on TikTok. So I'm curious, is anyone doing it? How's it going? That's something we're moving towards as far as supporting our community. So let me know. I know a lot of people definitely recruit on Facebook. That's a thing. So that's all I got for you guys. I'll probably come back next Tuesday, if not Thursday. As always, if you have a chance, you want to join us on our office hours live, feel free to do so. It's every other Wednesday. So next Wednesday in October, that first Wednesday in October, we'll be talking about your questions. I'm going to include some questions that you guys dropped here, as well as some other questions. You can drop your questions if you want us to talk about it here in the comments below. As always, don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to join the YouTube channel. In YouTube, I get a chance to drop way more content and information for you guys about things happening in the industry. And it's not too late to join a couple of the conferences and conventions that are staffing related. It doesn't have to be healthcare, staffing related, that may be of interest to you guys. And, you know, we'll go from there. As always, thanks for joining our community and being a part of it. We'll drop this video here and then move it over to we'll move it over in a more formal setting onto our YouTube channel. Let's drop the YouTube channel. Thank you. Every other Wednesday, thanks Asia, every other Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And essentially what we're doing differently, for those of you guys who, if you haven't joined in a while, is we are answering questions in the beginning that have been submitted to us. And then as the time goes on, just in case people don't join, at the very beginning, we are giving you guys a chance to jump in and ask your questions. So we feel like that format is a little bit easier, and then that way you're able to jump in. We only do it for 1 hour. So sometimes, depending on how many people join, we may do it a little bit longer. But here's our YouTube channel. This is our latest topic, but like I said, we'll be dropping more information on this particular topic. Marketing strategy. We'll talk more next week about recruitment strategy, but those are essentially the key things. And as you write them down, then go and do whatever those steps are. Kind of really write out what you're doing step by step. And the best way to do things like strategies and things like that is write it out in a way that you would do if the person didn't know anything about it. And sometimes that may require that you get more research or get more information. But when you're writing it out, kind of like who is your target audience? You know, a question like that, for instance. You could answer, oh, my target audience is nurses or CNAs. But a better answer would be, my target is nurses, CNAs, or any healthcare professional in these specific areas or specific specialties that are in this age group, that are in this area or in this region or could travel here. That makes it a little bit more specific, which allows you to kind of move along your marketing strategy a lot easier to answer some of the other questions. Like I mentioned, we'll put the presentation up here. We'll put it also on our YouTube channel. And thanks, guys. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the fall. Do something great. Do something that you maybe thought about not doing. Have a great rest of your week.